Gotta be quiet, okay?
Just quiet talking. A little talking.
You ready?
Sure. This is not White Sands.
This is not White Sands,
No.
no.
It's
But we're
not.
talking about White Sands National Monument today.
Yes.
We're coming to you from City of Rocks State Park in New Mexico, and it's pretty spectacular.
Might be like the coolest playground. Like, I want to play here. We have actually been playing here. We played some pretty massive games of hide and seek a little bit ago. It was pretty awesome. This might eclipse the last campground that we were going to talk about
Yeah.
that we were just at.
We just left the Alamogordo area, which is near White Sands National Monument, and had a fantastic time. We couldn't shoot a lot of audio video like this because it was so windy,
So windy.
and the microphone was just like.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are at our next destination, shooting our video for White Sands
Yes.
National Monument with some pretty pictures coming across the screen of where we were and what we did.
There'll be a lot of pictures today. We couldn't even get film at the campground that we were outside because it was just so windy.
But really beautiful. We were at
So beautiful.
Oliver Lee Memorial State Park, which is butted up right into a canyon in the Sacramento Mountains.
So
and
cool.
has some trails that you can go back up into the Dog Canyon. It's a really beautiful place, really nice sights, and the kids had an excellent time there.
We had an excellent time there. I loved running around that campground. Sorry, I'm barefoot, and these rocks hurt.
And the town of Alamogordo itself is also very nice.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun traipsing around there.
Yeah, we did.
Getting
Starbucks.
dental work, Starbucks, car
dental
washes,
work,
all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a rough week for me.
Really, it was a rough week for everyone. Extremely rough for Jason. Rough for the rest of us. But
in Alamogordo, they have what is the space place called?
Oh, the New Mexico Space Museum.
New Mexico Space Museum. Here's a picture of it.
It basically is a museum that is chronicling New Mexico's participation in the space program.
And the first chimp that we sent up in space is buried there. His name is Ham, and you can visit his gravesite. And you can see his little cute outfit.
Yeah, that was a little...
It's a little creepy. That was a little creepy.
It was a little creepy.
It's an okay museum. Yeah. It's a couple-hour museum. It's not some place I don't think we would go back, but we enjoyed our time there.
Yeah, and it was a reciprocal museum for us, which is great. So we were able to get in for free, and the kids actually had a really great time. They had a little section of the museum that was set up like shuttle command, and like you were in a space station. So of course that lent itself to a lot of really creative play, and it lent itself to Henry running face first into a wall.
He's got quite the bruise on his forehead.
Quite the bruise. And he always hits the same spot. Have you noticed that? Every single time. I think he's built up tissue right
He's like
here.
my brother Wes. My brother Wes had stitches like 4 times right in the same spot because he used to fall on his face and not put his hands out.
We're talking about you.
That's Henry.
Yeah. The kids you might see them in the background today. We didn't keep them in the car this time watching a movie. They're actually enjoying nature. They're running all through here because you can run.
Yeah, they can play all over this. It's really great.
It's for Jack, who all he wants to do is parkour. This might be his like heaven on earth right now.
Henry's running back and forth in front of the camera. He thinks he's in the shot, but he's not.
You keep at it, baby. You run that energy off.
But the state park was beautiful. The skies were beautiful. We saw some just wonderful stars and
posted a lot of sunset pictures on Instagram.
Venus. Almost every night we could see Venus clear as day out on the horizon just as the sun was going down at dusk.
But I think if you do follow our Facebook or our Instagram or even our Twitter, you have probably gathered by now that we really loved not only our time there at that campsite, but that we really loved White Sands. I don't even know how to describe it because I think it's one of those parks that you have to experience in order to really be able to enjoy it. I am now completely in the shade, just so you know. If we take a step. Well, you're going to go. You're gonna come back later.
We're gonna switch.
You're gonna come back later, and you're gonna say something about how I was shaded the whole time.
Well, there's a rock there now.
Well, I know. I'm just telling you.
This isn't actually something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
So, White Sands National Monument is a sea of these giant white sand dunes that are made out of gypsum. It's this super fine sand. It's like almost like talcum powder.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of like what we always like to refer to as sugar sand.
Yeah.
Which is what we called like the Fort Pickens area when we were in Pensacola. Like it's so fine and soft, and yet at the same time, they're incredibly hard. Like it's this thing
where it's
like,
been gotten wet and
yes.
packed, it gets hard, and you can walk on it, and you can sled on it.
Yes.
These dunes are huge, and you can get discs from the visitor center and sled.
If you can, though,
bring your own.
Bring your own. $19 for a new sled from the visitor center. They will buy it back for you at a very generous rate of $7, but still $19 for a round plastic disc. They also will sell wax. We didn't buy the wax because I had this like Clark Griswold family Christmas vacation like image in my head that I would wax this sled up and then my children would go flying down. We probably should have bought the wax.
Yeah, it's slow going down. It's not like sledding on snow. It really is slow going down on these sleds. And I don't know that a regular sled would work. I think you do need a saucer-shaped sled.
Yeah, well, I did see a few people who had like the rectangular ones.
Was
but
it working?
I don't recall. They were just carrying it. Yeah. But I think you also probably do need just like a single person sled. I think if you have a two-person sled, it's not going to work. Yeah. The smaller individuals in the family... I was waiting for that to happen. It's okay, baby. Take my water, please. So a tip, though, about the sleds is that they do sell what they call used ones, which is people will bring their sleds back at the end of the day and they buy them back. And you can get those for $10. But we found the trick to do is, so we spent 3 days at White Sands, and we, on our exit the first day, so at the end of the day, we popped in and got a used sled.
Because there weren't any sleds when we got there at the beginning of the day. They didn't have used ones to sell you for $10. Right.
But everyone had already left for the day by the time we left, so we were able to get one of the $10 ones, and then we kept it for the other 2 days that we were there, and then they buy those back for $3.
And you really don't need to like get a sled per person and everything.
No.
The day's not really about sledding. It's so much fun to roll around and play in the sand. There are trails you can do. If you don't want to walk in the sand, if you don't want to get sandy, and I
don't know how you could even go there and not get sandy, even if you just walk the boardwalk.
They do have a boardwalk trail that's wheelchair accessible, or you can push a stroller down. That's very nice, but you can also hop up. But one of the things I love about this park is one of the few national parks where they encourage you to go off the trail.
Just go.
And you can just go and wander and go whichever direction. You could easily get lost here.
Yeah,
very easily get lost.
The flip side to that is you could go off and wander, and then literally you've wandered yourself into a complete, like, everything looks the same. So then you're like, where am I? I think I'm lost.
They have a nightly sunset stroll.
Yes.
There are a few different trails that you can do there. It's a really beautiful place, and we're very happy we went, and we enjoyed our entire time in the Alamogordo area.
Yeah, I have to say, for the kids too, they're such huge Star Wars fans, and so this really encouraged them to
play like they were like on Tatooine.
Yes, and they were like, trying to get away from the Sarlacc and, sliding down these hills and having these like Lando and Han moments, one of them's blind, and like, it was really, really impressive to watch and fun to see them sort of like their imagination spurred in that way. But I wandered off by myself like at once, just went off and took a walk while the kids were sledding with Jason. And it was one of probably the most amazing times I've had in a park. It was just to walk through the sand and up these dunes. And it was like every time you think you've seen something amazing and spectacular, you come up over the dune and it's just even more breathtaking. Like, it's the coolest place. And we heard from like so many people on Instagram who had been there, and they were saying the same thing. Like, this is one of our favorite parks. Our kids loved it here. And I kind of can't wait to go back. Like, I felt like 3 days wasn't enough. Because another thing, too, we found for our family, we could only last about 3 hours. And just the wind and the sun reflecting off of that
It's
sand.
like being at a beach in the hot sun, and
Yes.
I
Even
imagine
in
it's only a
winter.
lot worse in the summer.
Yeah, and I found myself just feeling really drained. Like,
Mhm.
just like I felt really dry, and we had to break it up to have multiple days.
Definitely bring like hats that cover your skin. Wear sunblock even in the winter.
Yeah, I think my nose was
Hmm.
was burned. I did so one place I didn't hit was right there on my nose next to, and I was burnt.
Yeah, it's
What are you
very
gonna do?
much like being on a beach. And footwear, I don't even know what to tell you to wear on your feet if you're gonna go walk the trails. I tried different things. Flip flops, I think were the best that I wore. Our
I didn't.
kids wore Keens.
I wore my Keens. I didn't mind wearing Keens.
I
I actually really loved going barefoot. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing
we
to
did
do.
a lot
Just
of
go
barefoot.
barefoot.
I did wear my shoe, and there are rattlesnakes around, so you do have to be careful about that. We didn't see any, but I did wear my hiking shoes one day, and they worked okay. But they're vented, so the sand is so fine
Yeah.
it actually got
Yeah,
in
it's
them
almost
very
like
easily, and it was almost worthless.
we saw some people like in really high, like some I saw some women like in high boots. Maybe that works, keeps the sand out, but I don't think I'd want to climb up a dune in high boots like that. I
Yeah,
mean, I think, at the end of the day for me, barefoot, just go barefoot.
we
You know.
there are some other things to do in the area. The White Sands. Just looking for the kids.
Sorry.
the
They're
White
really up
Sands
high.
the White Sands missile testing facility is nearby, and the road to White Sands is shut down very often for like an hour. Usually, it's really early in the morning, like 6 a.m. So it's not going to affect you unless you're trying to head there to like shoot photos or something.
Hold on, hold on. Hey, guys.
The White Sands missile testing facility is nearby, and you can actually go there, and they have a museum, and you can see some of the missiles over the years that have been tested there. We didn't go there,
No.
but we also went to a town called Cloudcroft
Oh, I
that
forgot
we
about
really
this.
loved. This is a mountain town. You take you
A
take a
mountain road.
drive up a mountain pass, and
Yeah.
we saw snow on the ground for the
That
first
was
time in a
weird.
while,
That
which
was.
was weird.
I
And
didn't like
it's
it.
really
I
cute
don't see the
little
snow.
mountain town that has all this sort of like quaint little shops and restaurants that you would see in a lot of these
Yeah.
mountain towns that exist in Colorado and
Well,
all over the place.
and on the way up there too, we stopped at this really cute place called the Old Apple Barn and had some fudge, and I had some really good New Mexico coffee. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was so good.
They
And
also had a cherry slushy thing that we
cider,
had
cherry
cider slush.
slushy.
It was so good.
Pictures
Oh
will probably
man,
be coming across the screen. It was really good, and then
we had a nice dinner.
we did. We ate at a diner in Cloudcroft called Big Daddy's Diner. Just a great, you know,
Great home style
yes.
restaurant, big portions.
Chicken fried steak, green chili.
Green chili soup. Oh, so good. It was
So
stew. Green chili
good.
stew.
Green chili stew.
Really good.
So good.
And I just had like a ham and cheese toasty sandwich. Really good sort of comfort food. And there's a lot of barbecue places up there that you can go to as well.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun week. We were there for 8 days, and it's a place that we would put on our list that we would come back to, and we would highly encourage anyone who wants to check out White Sands to check it out and check out Oliver Lee Memorial State Park. Fabulous place to stay.
All right, that's about it for this video. If you would like to hear more about our visits to any of these areas, check us out on the RV Miles podcast. Also, if you're interested, go check out our new podcast, the America's National Parks podcast. We'll put a link to both of our podcasts in the comments.
Because we're not busy enough.
Please make sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Bye. How did you get up here?
I'm up, Abby.
Huh?
I'm up.
No, you just want footage of me. I can do it. I got it.
Do it.